heart attack.
Just take a breather. Don't have a heart attack, please.
I wanted to talk to you face to face, and there's so many times we went on the phone and I wanted to say something, but I couldn't say it. I just couldn't say it. And I feel like all I've done is...
You think you've seen family drama on reality TV, but nothing prepares you for the moment a mother sits across from her long-lost son, looks him in the eye, and drops a secret so heavy it could shatter everything they've rebuilt. Kim's voice shakes as she blurts out the words she's been dreading for decades. Larry, you have a sister. Not a distant cousin, not a half-sibling, but a full-blooded sister given up for adoption just like you. The air in the room turns thick, every eye locked on Kim, every heartbeat pounding with the weight of what she's unleashed. Larry's face freezes, his mind racing to catch up, and for a split second, you can see the ground shift beneath him. Jamal, the brother who only recently learned Larry existed, sits silent, caught between shock and a strange sense of déjà vu. The silence stretches, and you can almost hear the sound of trust cracking. Welcome to Reality Sport. I'm Oliva, and if you think you know how this story ends, think again. Hit subscribe and drop your wildest family secret in the comments, because what happens next will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about forgiveness, loyalty, and the price of truth. But how did we get here? Rewind the tape. Kim, once a scared young woman, made choices she spent her whole life trying to outrun. She put Larry up for adoption, then years later did the same with a daughter, both children fathered by the same man who vanished when things got tough. She kept these secrets locked away, even from Jamal, the son she raised, until the truth clawed its way to the surface. Now, with all three lives colliding in one fragile reunion, Kim's confession isn't just a bombshell. It's a test of whether this family can survive another fracture. Larry's hands tremble as he tries to process what he's hearing. His childhood was a blur of questions no one would answer. And now, in one breath, his mother has handed him a new mystery and a new wound. Jamal's jaw clenches, remembering the sting of learning about Larry through a web of lies, and now he's watching it happen all over again. Kim's eyes dart between her sons, desperate for a sign that she hasn't lost them both in one reckless moment. The stakes couldn't be higher. One wrong word, one wrong move, and this fragile reunion could explode. Will Larry walk out? Or will he stay and face the truth that's been hiding in plain sight? Years before this living room showdown, Kim was a teenager with more fear than options, standing at the edge of adulthood and motherhood with no one to catch her if she fell. Larry was her firstborn, a baby she held for only moments before signing the papers that would send him into another family's arms. She told herself it was mercy, that he'd have a better life, but the guilt never left. When she found herself pregnant again, this time with a daughter, the father was already gone, and the world felt even colder. The decision to give up her daughter wasn't easier the second time, it was just lonelier. Kim buried both secrets deep, convinced that silence would protect everyone. But silence has a way of growing teeth. Jamal grew up as an only child, never suspecting the truth that hovered just out of reach. He watched his mother flinch at baby photos, change the subject when anyone mentioned family, and he learned not to ask questions. When the truth about Larry finally surfaced, it wasn't a gentle reveal, it was a tidal wave that swept away everything he thought he knew about his own story. Suddenly, Jamal wasn't an only child. He was the middle link in a broken chain, forced to rethink every memory, every moment of his childhood. The betrayal stung, not just because of the lie, but because of the years lost to it. Kim's secrets didn't just shape her life, they rewrote the script for everyone around her. Every birthday, every holiday, every quiet moment was haunted by the children she couldn't hold and the stories she couldn't tell. The guilt pressed down on her, heavy and constant, making her second-guess every word, every hug, every attempt to move forward. She worried that if her sons ever learned the full truth, they'd turn away, leaving her alone with her regrets. But now, with the truth about Larry and the missing sister out in the open, the question hangs in the air like a storm cloud. Is this everything? Or is there more Kim hasn't confessed? The family sits on a knife's edge, trust hanging by a thread, and everyone is wondering if another secret comes crawling out of the past, will this family finally break for good, or is there still a chance to stitch these pieces back together? The days leading up to the reunion feel like a countdown to a storm. Kim paces her kitchen, checking her phone every few minutes, replaying every possible version of how this meeting could go. She's seen Larry in person only once before, and that first meeting was a blur of awkward hugs and forced smiles, both of them tiptoeing around the truth. Now, with the weight of another secret pressing down, Kim's nerves are shot. She barely sleeps, her mind racing with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Every time she tries to picture Larry's face, she wonders if this time he'll look at her with something other than hope or confusion. Maybe anger, maybe heartbreak, maybe nothing at all. Jamal watches his mother unravel, caught in his own storm of emotions. He's angry, not just at Kim for the years of lies, but at the universe for making him the messenger, the bridge between two worlds that never should have been separated. But there's hope, too, a stubborn, flickering hope that maybe, just maybe, this meeting could be the start of something real. Jamal wants a brother, wants a family that isn't built on secrets and half-truths. He wants to believe that people can change, that forgiveness is possible, even when the wounds are fresh. The morning of the reunion, the air feels heavy, thick with anticipation. Kim fusses over every detail, from the picnic blanket to the snacks, desperate for some sense of control. The park is bright and open, sunlight filtering through the trees, kids laughing in the distance. It should feel peaceful, but for Kim, every sound is a reminder of what's at stake. She sets up the picnic under a wide oak, hands trembling as she arranges sandwiches and juice boxes, her eyes darting to the parking lot every few seconds. Jamal stands nearby, arms crossed, scanning the horizon for Larry's car, his jaw set in a line that says he's ready for anything, but his eyes betray the nerves underneath. As the minutes tick by, Kim's anxiety builds to a fever pitch. She rehearses her confession in her head, the words sticking in her throat. She wonders if she'll have the courage to say what needs to be said, or if she'll freeze when the moment comes. The sound of a car door slamming jolts her out of her thoughts, and for a split second she considers running, hiding, anything to avoid what's about to happen. Will Kim find her voice, or will fear win out at the very last second? Kim's hands shake as she wipes invisible crumbs from her lap, her heart pounding so loud she's sure everyone can hear it. Larry sits across from her, his posture stiff, eyes darting between his mother and Jamal, picking up on the tension but not yet understanding its source. Jamal sits to the side, arms folded, his face a mask of forced calm, but his foot taps out a nervous rhythm in the grass. The picnic food sits untouched, the laughter of nearby families a distant echo, as if the world has shrunk to this tiny patch of sunlight and shadow. Kim opens her mouth, closes it, tries again. The words feel like stones in her throat. She glances at Jamal, searching for backup, but he only nods, his jaw clenched. Larry's brow furrows, concern flickering across his face. He senses something big is coming, but nothing could prepare him for the truth about to land in his lap. Kim's voice finally breaks the silence, thin and trembling. She tells Larry there's something she's needed to say for a long time, something she couldn't bring herself to share over the phone or in a letter. Her eyes fill with tears as she confesses he has a sister, a full sibling, given up for adoption just like him. The words hang in the air, heavy and electric. Larry's face goes blank, his mind scrambling to make sense of what he's hearing. For a moment, he looks like a child again, lost and searching for answers that never came. Jamal's eyes flicker with sympathy and pain, remembering his own shock when he learned about Larry. Kim's shoulders sag, the weight of decades pressing down as she waits for the fallout. Heartbreak flashes across Larry's face, quickly replaced by disbelief, then anger, then something softer. Grief for the sister he never knew, for the years stolen by secrets. Kim's fear is raw, her breath shallow as she braces for rejection. Jamal watches, torn between wanting to protect his brother and wanting to shield his mother from the consequences of her choices. The silence stretches, thick and suffocating. Larry stares at the ground, his hands clenched in his lap, the reality of his family shifting beneath him. How do you process a truth that rewrites your entire life? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, as everyone waits for Larry's first words. Words that could either break the fragile peace or begin to stitch something new together. Larry's silence feels endless, his eyes fixed on a spot in the grass as if he might find answers there. The shock is written all over his face, a mix of disbelief and pain that makes him look both older and younger at the same time. He finally lifts his head, searching Kim's face for some sign that this is a mistake, a misunderstanding, anything but the truth. His voice, when it comes, is quiet and raw. He asks why she kept this from him, why she made the same choice twice, why he had to find out like this. Each question lands like a blow, and Kim flinches, her hands twisting in her lap as she tries to explain. She talks about fear, about being alone, about wanting to give her children a better life than she could offer. Her words tumble out in a rush, desperate for understanding, for forgiveness she isn't sure she deserves. Jamal watches the exchange, his own emotions a tangled mess. Part of him feels relief that the secret is finally out, that the weight he's carried isn't his alone anymore. But there's resentment too. Resentment for the years lost, for the lies that shaped his childhood, for being forced into the role of peacekeeper in a family built on silence. He wants to believe that forgiveness is possible, that they can move forward, but the hurt runs deep and trust is fragile. Kim's voice cracks as she begs Larry not to hate her, not to walk away. She tells him she's sorry, that she's been haunted by regret every day, that she wishes she could go back and do things differently. The vulnerability in her plea is almost too much to bear. Larry listens, his jaw tight, his eyes shining with unshed tears. He wants to be angry, wants to blame her, but he also sees the pain etched into her face, the years of guilt and longing. Is forgiveness possible when the wounds are this deep? Or is the damage too great, the past too heavy to overcome? The question hangs between them, unanswered, as Larry looks from his mother to his brother and back again. The future of this family teeters on the edge, and no one knows which way it will fall. Will Larry find it in his heart to forgive? Or will this be the moment that finally breaks them apart? Kim's voice grows even softer as she admits the hardest part. She has no idea where her daughter is, not even a name to hold on to. The adoption was closed, the record sealed, and all she has left is a memory of a tiny face and the ache of absence that never faded. Larry's eyes widen, the shock of a sister he's never met now tangled with the realization that she's out there somewhere, living a life none of them can picture. Jamal sits back, his mind racing with questions he can't even form yet. The idea of a missing sibling is both a wound and a spark, painful, but impossible to ignore. For a moment, the family sits in a strange silence, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Kim's regret is heavy, but so is her hope. She wonders if her daughter ever thinks about her, if she's happy, if she knows she has brothers who would welcome her with open arms. Larry feels a strange pull, a longing to fill the empty space in his story, to find the missing piece that might make sense of everything. Jamal, always the skeptic, tries to guard his heart, but even he can't help imagining what it would be like to meet the sister he never knew existed. The pain of not knowing is sharp, a constant reminder of what's been lost. Kim's eyes fill with tears as she talks about the years spent wondering, the birthdays missed, the milestones she never got to see. She confesses that every time the phone rings, a small part of her hopes it's news about her daughter. Larry listens, his own heart aching for the sister he's never met, the family he never got to have. Jamal, caught between hope and caution, wonders if searching will bring healing or just more heartbreak. Still, the urge to search is strong. The family starts to talk about what they might do, reaching out to adoption agencies, posting on social media, following any lead, no matter how small. The question hangs in the air. Will they ever find her? Or is she lost to them forever? Then, as if fate is listening, Kim remembers a detail she'd forgotten. A hospital bracelet tucked away in an old box, with a date and a city. It's not much, but it's something. Suddenly, hope flickers to life, and the search for their missing sister feels possible for the first time. The days after Kim's confession move slowly, every interaction colored by the shock of what's been revealed. The picnic ends with hugs that feel both tighter and more uncertain, as if everyone is afraid to let go, but unsure how to hold on. Larry drives home in silence, his wife watching him from the passenger seat, her hand resting on his knee, offering comfort without words. Their kids chatter in the back seat, blissfully unaware that their family has changed forever in a single afternoon. At home, Larry sits at the kitchen table long after the kids are asleep, replaying every moment, every word, trying to stitch together a new understanding of who he is and where he comes from. Kim, meanwhile, feels both lighter and lonelier. The secret that weighed her down for decades is finally out, but the relief is tangled with regret. She spends hours staring at old photos, wondering what her daughter looks like now, if she has her eyes or her stubborn chin. She texts Larry and Jamal, checking in, apologizing again, trying to bridge the distance that still lingers. Sometimes they answer right away, sometimes not at all. The rhythm of their new relationship is awkward, full of pauses and careful words, but there's a sense that something real is starting to grow in the cracks left by the truth. Jamal finds himself caught between two worlds. He's angry at his mother for the lies, but he also sees her pain and wants to protect her. He's excited to have a brother, but he's not sure how to be one. He and Larry start texting more, sharing stories about their childhoods, comparing memories, laughing at the differences and marveling at the similarities. There are moments of real connection, inside jokes, shared frustrations, the beginnings of trust. But there are also moments when the old wounds ache, when Jamal wonders if things will ever feel normal. Larry's wife, always the steady one, becomes the anchor for her family. She listens as Larry talks through his feelings, never rushing him, never judging. She encourages him to reach out to Kim, to give her a chance, but she also reminds him that it's okay to set boundaries, to protect himself and their kids. The children, still too young to understand the full story, sense the tension but respond with hugs and questions, their innocence a balm for the adults' confusion. As the days turn into weeks, the family starts to find a new rhythm. They schedule regular video calls, sometimes awkward, sometimes warm, always honest. Kim visits Larry's family, bringing gifts for the kids and stories for the adults. Jamal joins when he can, sometimes in person, sometimes on screen, always watching, always weighing his place in this new constellation. There are setbacks, misunderstandings, old resentments flaring up, moments when someone says the wrong thing and the room goes quiet. But there are also breakthroughs, a shared laugh, a tearful apology, a hug that feels like forgiveness. Kim's relief is real, but so is her regret. She wishes she could go back and do things differently, but she knows that all she can do now is move forward. She throws herself into the search for her daughter, reaching out to agencies, posting in online forums, following up on the hospital bracelet she found. Every lead feels like a lifeline, every dead end a fresh wound. Still, she keeps going, driven by hope and guilt in equal measure. Jamal and Larry's bond grows stronger, shaped by honesty and the shared experience of being lost and found. They talk about their childhoods, about what it means to be brothers, about the ways secrets can shape a person's sense of self. Larry admits that he's always felt like something was missing, a hole in his story that he couldn't explain. Jamal confesses that he struggled with trust, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Together, they start to build something new, something that feels like family. Larry's wife watches all of this with a mix of pride and worry. She's glad her husband is reconnecting with his family, but she's also protective of their own little unit. She sets boundaries, making it clear that while she supports the search for the missing sister, she won't let it disrupt their children's lives. She encourages Larry to take things slow, to let the relationships grow at their own pace. The kids, for their part, are fascinated by the idea of a new aunt. They ask questions, draw pictures, and dream up stories about what she might be like. Their curiosity is infectious, a reminder that family is as much about hope as it is about history. As the family navigates this new reality, the impact of Kim's secrets becomes clear. The lies shaped who they are, but the truth is giving them a chance to become something more. There's pain, yes, but there's also possibility. The search for the missing sister becomes a symbol of that hope, a chance to heal, to connect, to write a new chapter. But with every step forward, there's a question that lingers in the background, unspoken but ever present. What happens if they find her? Will she want to be found? Will she welcome them? Or will she shut the door on a past she never asked for? The family braces for whatever comes next, knowing that the answers could bring them closer together or tear them apart all over again. Kim wakes up every morning with a new sense of purpose, her mind already racing through possibilities before her feet even hit the floor. The hospital bracelet she found becomes her talisman, a small piece of the past she clings to as she starts the search for her daughter in earnest. She spends hours online, scrolling through adoption forums, reading stories from other birth mothers and adoptees, looking for any clue that might lead her to the girl she lost. She drafts emails to adoption agencies, carefully explaining her situation, hoping someone will take pity and help her navigate the maze of sealed records and privacy laws. Every time she hits send, her heart pounds with a mix of hope and fear, wondering if this will be the message that changes everything. Larry watches his mother throw herself into the search, and he feels a strange mix of emotions. There's excitement, of course. The idea of meeting his sister, of filling in the missing pieces of his story, is almost too much to process. But there's dread, too. A fear that the search will end in disappointment, or worse, rejection. He wonders what he'll say if they find her, how he'll explain the years apart, the secrets, the pain. He talks it over with his wife, who listens patiently, reminding him that whatever happens, they'll face it together. She helps him draft a letter to the adoption agency, offering his Dina for any potential matches, her steady presence a comfort as the days stretch on. Jamal is more cautious, his skepticism a shield against disappointment. He supports the search, but he's careful not to get his hopes up. He's seen how these stories can end, reunions that go sideways, families that fracture under the weight of old wounds. Still, he helps where he can, reaching out to contacts, sharing posts on social media, keeping an eye out for any sign that their sister might be looking for them too. He talks to Larry late at night, the two brothers bonding over their shared uncertainty, their conversations a mix of hope and realism. Kim's determination is relentless. She joins online groups for birth mothers, posts in every forum she can find, and even creates a dedicated social media page, sharing her story in the hope that someone, somewhere, will recognize the details. She's careful with her words, respecting her daughter's privacy, but she's honest about her regret and her longing to reconnect. The responses are a mix of encouragement and caution. Some people share their own stories of reunion, while others warn her to prepare for every outcome, including the possibility that her daughter may not want to be found. The emotional stakes are sky high. Every new message, every phone call from an unknown number sends Kim's heart racing. She imagines what it would be like to hear her daughter's voice, to see her face, to finally say all the things she's kept bottled up for so long. But she also fears rejection, the possibility that her daughter will want nothing to do with her, that she'll see Kim as a stranger or, worse, as the source of her pain. Larry and Jamal feel it too. The tension between hope and fear, the knowledge that this search could bring them closer together or drive a new wedge between them. As the weeks go by, the family settles into a new routine, their lives revolving around the search. They share updates, celebrate small victories, and comfort each other through setbacks. The kids ask questions, their curiosity a reminder that this story is still being written, that the ending is far from certain. Kim keeps a journal, documenting every step, every emotion, every moment of doubt and hope. She tells herself that even if the search ends in heartbreak, At least she tried. At least she gave her daughter the chance to know the truth. But as the leads start to trickle in, an old friend who remembers the adoption, a social worker who offers a hint, a message from someone who thinks they might be a match, the family's nerves are stretched to the breaking point. Every new clue brings a fresh wave of excitement and anxiety. Every dead end a reminder of how much is at stake. They wonder if they're ready for what comes next, if they can handle another shock, another twist in a story that's already pushed them to their limits. The question hangs in the air, unanswered, as they wait for the next piece of the puzzle to fall into place. Kim sits by her window late at night, the house quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of cars on the street. She thinks about the years she spent running from her own story, the way secrets became a second skin, something she wore every day until she almost forgot what it felt like to be honest. The relief of finally telling the truth is real, but so is the ache of regret. She wonders how different her life and her children's lives might have been if she'd found the courage to speak sooner. The cost of silence is measured in lost birthdays, missed milestones, and the ache of not knowing. But there's hope, too, a fragile thread that runs through every conversation, every awkward hug, every new attempt at connection. Kim tells herself that redemption isn't about erasing the past, but about showing up now, about being present and honest, even when it hurts. Jamal finds himself thinking about trust in a way he never has before. Growing up, he always sensed there was something his mother wasn't telling him, a shadow that hung over their home. Now, with the truth out, he feels both vindicated and unsettled. He's learned that honesty isn't always easy, that sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie. But he's also seen how secrets can poison a family from the inside out, turning love into suspicion and connection into distance. Jamal decides that moving forward, he wants to build something different with Larry, a relationship based on openness, even when it's uncomfortable. He knows it won't be perfect, that old habits die hard, but he's willing to try. For Jamal, family isn't about blood or shared history, but about the willingness to show up, to listen, to forgive. Larry's journey is different, shaped by absence and longing. For years, he wondered why he felt out of place, why there was a hole in his story that nothing seemed to fill. Learning the truth about his adoption, and now about his sister, has been both a shock and a relief. He finally has answers, but those answers come with new questions, new wounds. Larry realizes that family is complicated, that love and pain often walk hand in hand. He's grateful for the chance to know Jamal, to build a relationship with Kim, but he's also careful, setting boundaries to protect himself and his own family. Larry's biggest lesson is that healing takes time, that forgiveness is a process, not a single moment. The psychology of secrets is messy. People hide the truth for all kinds of reasons: fear, shame, the desire to protect themselves or others. Sometimes secrets are born out of love, a misguided attempt to spare someone pain. Other times, they're about survival, about doing whatever it takes to get through the day. But secrets rarely stay buried forever. They have a way of surfacing, of demanding to be seen, and when they do, the fallout can be both destructive and liberating. Families heal not by pretending the past didn't happen, but by facing it together, by allowing space for anger, grief, and, eventually, forgiveness. Still, not every reunion is a fairy tale. Kim reads stories online about families who find each other only to realize that too much time has passed, that the wounds are too deep to heal. Some adoptees want nothing to do with their birth families, choosing instead to focus on the life they've built. Others try to reconnect, only to find that the fantasy doesn't match the reality. Kim knows this could be her story too. She prepares herself for every outcome, reminding herself that her daughter's feelings are valid, whatever they may be. She tells Larry and Jamal that the search isn't about fixing the past, but about offering an open door, a chance for connection if and when her daughter is ready. Jamal and Larry talk about this too, late at night when the kids are asleep and the house is quiet. They agree that whatever happens, they'll support each other, that their bond is strong enough to weather disappointment. They talk about what it means to be brothers, about the ways their lives have changed since the truth came out. There's laughter, sometimes tears, but always a sense of moving forward, of building something new from the pieces of the past. The family's new beginning is fragile, a work in progress. There are still awkward moments, still days when the old pain flares up, but there's also hope. Kim makes a point of being honest, even when it's hard. Jamal and Larry check in with each other, making space for both joy and frustration. Larry's wife keeps everyone grounded, reminding them that healing is a journey, not a destination. The kids, with their endless curiosity and open hearts, are the glue that holds them all together. As they wait for news about the missing sister, the family leans into the uncertainty, choosing hope over fear, connection over isolation. They know the road ahead won't be easy, that there will be setbacks and disappointments, but they're willing to walk it together. The past can't be changed, but the future is still unwritten, and for the first time in a long time, that feels like a gift. The seasons shift, and with them, the family story keeps evolving. Kim, once haunted by the weight of her secrets, now moves through her days with a lighter step. She's not the same woman who hid behind half-truths and silence. She's learned to face her regrets head-on, to apologize without excuses, and to show up for her sons in ways she never thought possible. The guilt hasn't vanished, but it no longer controls her. She's found a kind of peace in the messiness of honesty, and every time she hears from Larry or Jamal, she's reminded that it's never too late to try again. Larry, who spent so much of his life searching for answers, has found a new sense of belonging. The confusion and anger that once clouded his relationship with Kim have softened into something more complicated but also more real. He's learned to let go of the fantasy of a perfect family and to embrace the one he has, flaws and all. His bond with Jamal has grown from cautious curiosity to genuine brotherhood. They text about everything from sports to parenting struggles, and sometimes, when the mood is right, they talk about the sister they're still hoping to find. Larry's wife, always steady, has become the quiet architect of this new family dynamic, encouraging boundaries but also celebrating every small victory. Their kids, who once sensed only tension, now see their dad laugh more, hug tighter, and talk openly about the importance of forgiveness. Jamal, too, has changed. The resentment he once felt toward Kim has faded, replaced by a cautious empathy. He understands now that people make mistakes, sometimes big ones, and that healing is a choice you make every day. He's become more open with his own feelings, less afraid to ask hard questions or to admit when he's hurting. His relationship with Larry is a constant work in progress, but it's one he values deeply. Jamal's learned that family isn't about pretending everything is fine, it's about showing up even when things are messy and choosing to stay. The search for their missing sister remains unfinished, a thread that runs through every conversation, every family gathering. Kim keeps her phone close, checking for updates from adoption agencies and online forums. Every new message brings a rush of hope, every silence a pang of disappointment. Larry and Jamal take turns reminding her, and each other, that whatever happens, they've already gained something important, the truth, and the chance to build something new. The kids draw pictures for the aunt they haven't met, their imaginations filling in the blanks with stories of adventures and reunions. Even Larry's wife, cautious as ever, finds herself hoping for a happy ending, though she knows better than to expect one. The family's journey isn't unique. Across the world of 90 Day Fiancé, secrets have a way of surfacing, forcing families to confront the past and decide what kind of future they want to build. Some stories end in heartbreak, others in healing. But all of them remind us that the truth, no matter how painful, is the only foundation strong enough to support real connection. If you've been following the twists and turns of Kim, Larry, and Jamal's story, you know that every answer brings new questions. Every reunion, new risks. And if you think this family's secrets are wild, wait until you see what happens when another 90 Day Fiancé couple faces their own hidden past. There's a story coming up that will make you question everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and the lengths people go to protect themselves. As Kim sits at her kitchen table, scrolling through messages and sipping her coffee, she thinks about the journey that brought her here. She knows the search for her daughter might never end the way she hopes, but she's proud of the steps she's taken. She's learned that courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about moving forward anyway, about reaching out even when you're not sure what you'll find. Larry, watching his kids play in the yard, feels a sense of gratitude for the family he's found, for the brother he never knew he needed, for the mother who finally told the truth. Jamal, driving home after a long day, calls Larry just to check in. Their conversation easy and familiar, a reminder that sometimes the best things come from the hardest moments. The family story is still being written. The search for their sister continues, each new clue a spark of hope, each setback a test of their resolve. They know the road ahead won't be easy, that there will be more questions, more challenges, more moments when the past threatens to pull them under. But they also know that they're stronger together, that the bonds they've built are real, and that the future, uncertain as it is, belongs to them. If you're ready for more jaw-dropping secrets and emotional reunions, don't miss our next story. Another 90-Day Fiancé family with a past that refuses to stay buried. You won't believe what comes out when the cameras start rolling and the truth finally comes to light. Sometimes, the hardest stories are the ones that matter most. And sometimes, the next chapter is the one you never saw coming.